What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 33.3 WREC. I'm Ben, the innkeeper. With me, per usual, got my guy Joe. Pretty excited for today's episode. We're going to be breaking down my album, which was Southern rock band Whiskey Myers' Firewater, and then a Chicago favorite, young band Twin Peaks, their album Down in Heaven. Joe, what's going on?
Nothing much. Again, excited to get into this episode. I finally picked an album from the 21st century. Took me, our fourth episode to do that. So, yeah, I'm excited to do that one. And Firewater by Whiskey Myers. I actually like this album. And when I listened to it this week, it was like a very different country sound than what I was expecting. And like, I know like last week we talked like radio stations and whatnot. I feel like I've heard Whiskey Myers on XRT. Like he just sounds like he would pop up on that station. He just had like a very like kind of rock sound to it.
I wouldn't doubt it because they're before we get into breaking down Firewater, their album that came out in 2019 2019, their 2019 album, their self-titled album Whiskey Myers, it's very, very much more so rock heavy, a lot more electric guitar in it.
Okay. Then I definitely heard a song off like that album.
Yeah,
on
no,
XRT. I know for a fact I've heard Whiskey Myers before then.
Yeah, because some of their songs off of that album, I forgot which one exactly it is. It's been in a commercial now at this point, and
So it's been getting a lot of
they're
playtime
picking up
shit.
steam. So yeah, Whiskey
Okay,
Myers,
that would make sense. Yeah.
So they've been skyrocketing in the past few years. Whiskey Myers group out of Texas, Palestine, Texas. They founded in 2007, and they've been really kind of skyrocketing these past few years. One, because their music's been featured in Kevin Costner's show Yellowstone, which is on the Paramount Network pretty frequently. It's a great show if you've never watched it. And then they have a big sponsorship deal with Miller Lite. I know you're a fan of that. Can't complain
Love
about
me some
that.
Miller Lite, yes. Love me some Miller Lite.
They were actually scheduled to open for the Rolling Stones before COVID hit. On their last two,
like tour 2020.
Yes, their No Filter tour. They were
okay.
They're supposed to open up for their June dates, I believe, specifically for that tour. So they were on their way up to the top. They caught the attention of some legends. Mick Jagger loves them, I guess. And
yeah, definitely.
So they got started with they had one other album come out before Firewater, but Firewater came out in April 2011. It topped out at its highest on the U.S. country chart at 26 and number 4 on the Heat Seekers, which, I mean, that's just new upcoming music. I've really been doing a little bit of research on that lately, but it's a fun album. There's some good serious songs, and then there's also some fun boot tapping songs that you could see the whole bar loving, and that's kind of where they got their start, was playing in bars. They still do play in bars, which is crazy considering that they were going to open up for the Stones and they're still playing bar shows. But
you always got to go back to your roots and play some bar shows. I love a good bar show, and I mean that's like what you do like around here, I guess. Like,
absolutely,
where we grew up, like we always go to bars and just watch whoever the hell is performing put on a show. And I mean, I love a great bar show. It really it can really pull the night together, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And so that first song is about one of those bar shows, a bar guitar and a honky tonk crowd. That first song on the album, it's a fun, simple song, kind of just to start the album out. In my opinion, song's just kind of about someone who needs that party scene at the bar, the honky tonk bar from down in Texas, to kind of just keep skating by in life. Not too sure if you kind of got that vibe from that, but as long as he has the simple things of he's got the bar to go drink at, he's got the guitar playing, and he's got the crowd reacting to the music, that's all he needs to have himself a good night.
Yeah, I really liked this song. This was like one of like 3 or 4 songs I liked off this album. Was Bar Guitar and a Honky Tonk Crow. One thing I did notice about this song and a couple other songs on the album, they had a couple of references to Leonard Skinner. In their song, and like in this song right here, it's like, "Hey Curtis Lowe, come on, save my soul." It's like a reference to Skinner song, The Ballad of Curtis Lowe,
Mhm.
who's like an alcoholic in there that was growing up in the town Skinner came from. So no, I thought that was really interesting. I like that little reference right there. But yeah, no, just straight up song, just singing out like, yeah, like a bar night and just fucking, random weekend nights. That's really what it reminded me of.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned the Skinner references. Obviously, Skinner, one of the band's big influences. The lead singer Cody Cannon kind of cites Leonard Skinner, Waylon Jennings, Hank Jr. I mean, the typical people from this wave of country / southern rock music. But just kind of skipping ahead a few songs, going to "Ballad of a Southern Man." I mean, this is a song. It kind of is formulaic in way of being a country song, in my opinion. I mean, it talks about life at home. It talks about people not understanding the life of down south. And there's a few lyrics in there that I love. Just the verse, and it's like, I know all the words to Simple Man. I guess that's just something you don't understand. I pledge my allegiance the original way. Say Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. I can't change my ways. I know who I am, and I guess that's just something you don't understand. Obviously, there's some lyrics in that verse that verse that I just said that are gonna ruffle some feathers. Obviously, they say, "I
Mhm.
still fly that Southern flag." I mean, nothing you can do
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
not
Yeah,
nah, it's not really
we don't
something we can
don't condone that one on this show. Just we'll
not a
disavow
bit,
that.
no.
But in that song, it kind of just like it's the perfect blending of genres, I think, because you get that southern rock feel, just slowed down, stripped down version of southern rock, but it's also a little like like a soul vibe almost. It's an interesting blending of genres, I think, and it's just
Yeah,
a
it
good
it it reminded me of something that, like, the Highwaymen would do, I
yeah,
feel like. It's
absolutely.
like, that's what I got out of it, and I really liked, like, even the first verse. It was, like, my first rifle was a 243 that my
Mhm,
papa gave daddy and daddy gave to me. I thought that was just, like, a great opening line to a
mhm.
song. That's just, like, that made me laugh. I was like, "Damn, that's actually pretty badass."
Yeah, this is
Then it
actually oh, my bad, I cut you off.
No, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that lyric is that you mentioned is what kind of made me really start to like Whiskey Myers. This was I think the second or third song I'd heard by them.
Mhm.
And before the first two songs I heard, I'm like, all right, this is all right, not bad. But then I heard this song and just their way of, it's a pretty vivid picture of that idealized Southern American life, I guess you could say, if that makes
Yeah.
sense in this song.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely.
not nothing we're relating to being from south side of Chicago, but it's just still like you could kind of put yourself in their shoes of like
Well, yeah, because not many people, and, not even, like, we realize just how different life
mhm,
is fucking down south and, like, compared to, like, how we have it up north and how they all had it down south and shit, and just I mean, like, just, like, for one example, how different look how fucking Texas is handling, like, this last snowstorm, or it's just, like, it's just just completely different way of living, and, no, like, I really like this, kinda reminds me of, the one song by the band, "The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down," where,
mhm,
that was, that song was I believe it was written by Levon Helm, and, that song was, like, really depicting on what it was like to be a Southern soldier during the Civil War, and again, I not condone, all that stuff,
yeah.
but it was just like, yeah, dude, it's, like, a very, very different perspective of what, like, they have down there than, like, what we have up here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of skipping around here on the album, skipping over, glossing over some songs, but skipping ahead of a song to Broken Window Serenade, which I think is, in my opinion, probably Whiskey Myers' best song. Just telling the story of, the person who's singing the song, I'm assuming, falling in love with a girl who's incredibly depressed, wants to be an actress, and just eventually gets addicted to meth and overdoses and dies. It's a very sad song, but it's a very good song. I mean, it's like talks
A
about
very
there's a
well-written song, if I
yeah,
must
like
say
talking
anything.
about you want to be a movie star and you're feeding your addiction with your crystal meth. And the way they deliver the lines in the song too, it sounds great. It's slowed
Yeah.
down, and there's actually like a really really stripped down acoustic version of this song that's I see like circulate on Twitter probably like once a month, and I'll stop and watch it every single time because their lead singer Cody Cannon just sounds so goddamn good singing it. And it's this is my favorite song by the band, I think.
Yeah, no, this is probably my top 3 off the album. I really like this song. I wouldn't say it was my favorite off the album, but I really did like this song. And, like, I did see, like, on Spotify or whatever, when I was, like, looking more into the band, that I think this was their number 2 song, I believe, on Spotify,
Mhm. Yeah,
on
it's for
their
sure up there in that top
artists.
5.
It's like it was in their top 5 at least. I don't know if it was number 1 or not. But no, I really like this song. Just like I'm a sucker for sad songs. I just, sad boy season, this one kind of gets to you sometimes. Yeah, no, I really, really like this song. It was painted a great picture, and I feel like I don't know, almost everybody knows that one person that's just like really wants trying to be something. They
Mhm.
just can't get it, it's just uh but
And
I
it
mean sung
ties
very well too. It's just
yeah, and
well
they
written.
tie a really sad but greatly written bow onto the end of the song. It's the last verse where it's like talking about where she passed away, and it's like there's no more signs of depression from a
Mhm.
long time ago. And I throw in a pretty flowers, they slowly laid you down. Like it's like, damn, that's a gut punch, and you feel for the guy singing the
Yeah.
song. Obviously, it's fictionalized. I think I've found nowhere that this song is real, but everyone knows someone in their life who struggled with an addiction problem, I'm assuming at some point, and it's horrible because it's almost out of your control to help them at points, and you're just hoping they get out of it. And yeah, that's all you can do. But a very very um, well written song. So another song I want to touch on is it's a completely different mold from the past couple we talked about. Is Turn It Up. It's for sure not the one of the better songs on the album in my opinion, but I like it just because plain and simple at its core, this is just a song about fucking. And
Yeah.
it's about like you're out at the bar, you see that one girl you have no reason why, but everything she does, you're watching her from across the bar, you're like, damn, like there's something about her. And like talking, she has all those little quirks that are driving a while in the song. It's plastic wrap on your fresh tattoo, fire breathing dragon looks good on you, nasty as hell, I want you to ring my bell. Like it's just an interesting pivot go just moving through this album, the progression, I think.
Yeah, just going from like something just like being really sad about a one girl, and then just going in like, yeah, I just want to pretty much take you home tonight, and get down on it.
Yeah, there's
Like
there's
very interesting progression. Yeah, I'd agree.
and there's for sure two types of songs like that on here. With Turn It Up, and then Anna Marie, another one like that. But I just
This
wanted
was
to
my
talk.
favorite song off
Yeah,
the album, Anna Marie. I loved this song. It just sounded like really, I don't want to say laid back, but it was just like such like a laid back rock song where I was like, oh hell yeah, just singing.
it gives you almost like in the most like stripped down way possible jam band vibes almost in a
Hmm.
way from a band you wouldn't expect it from. I mean, like the girl they're describing in this song, Anna Marie. I mean, they're talking about her chewing Levi Garrett, which is tobacco by a sycamore tree, and the way she acts, nobody knows why, but they love it. And she shows up to church with the Bible in her hand and a flask in her shoe. And even if we don't know the exact girl that they're describing, you can paint a picture in your head, and it's just one of those weird girls, like I mentioned earlier in Turn It Up, who just kind of does it for you in a really
She just
weird way.
has that it factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the last three songs on the album, How Far, Strange Dreams, and Song for You, they're okay. I mean, I don't really have anything of note to touch on them. This is for Whiskey Myers, I think that this is for sure their most stripped down album, I would say. As they move into Early Morning Shakes, you could tell it sounds a little more produced, which is it's Early Morning Shakes is their 2014 album. There's a couple really good songs I like on there, Dogwood and Reckoning specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And their Mud album starts to shift more towards like that heavier southern rock, a lot more electric guitar involved. And then once you get to their 2019 self-titled album, it is virtually straight rock and roll all the way through. And I think you would very much enjoy that. And
Yeah, exactly. I'm
it's
like
right up
looking
your
at their
alley.
I'm looking at their latest album right now, and I like couldn't be able to pin out which song I heard unless I actually sat down and listened. But I know for a fact I've heard like at least one or two of these songs on the
If
radio.
if I was to guess off that album, I'm gonna say it's probably Die Rockin', which is the first one. There's a big guitar solo in there.
Okay.
Um, and then potentially maybe Bury My Bones. Yeah, that's on there. That's a good song. It's about two it's like two brothers and the one dying, and they all had that one spot they would like going to when they were kids, and he wanted him to get buried there. Basically, it's a good song. It's a great album. Whiskey Myers is a great band who I would not be surprised within the next few years if they really skyrocket. Because I'm looking at it right now, they're at about a little over 1.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and I think that that's just going to keep growing. I mean, that might be
Mm-hmm.
ignorance in me, but if you're supposed to be opening up for the Stones,
You
I
hit it pretty good if you're opening up for the
yeah,
Stones. I mean, whether you're opening up for them or just straight up playing for them.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's gonna kind of wrap up all I have to say with the Firewater album. I'm happy you liked it. I think I kind of reined it back in a little bit more towards what you like moving forward. So after last week, so I was happy about that. Happy to hear you enjoyed it more than last week's album.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you hit one, sometimes you don't. Don't worry about it though. I did really like this album though. It was good, all around good. I would definitely like compared to the last one, like I would maybe give another listen, just like
Mm-hmm.
But this one it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely good. And I'm definitely gonna check out their latest album. You said it's like all rock and shit. Like I know for a fact I've like heard a couple of their songs and they sounded like I remember like bumping into them like driving to or from work one day, just being like, oh hell yeah.
Great driving music. It's a band that is great to just put on the radio and just go.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You love good love good driving music. If they supply that, then I'll definitely like them.
Yeah, so Joe, we're just gonna move into your album this week, Twin Peaks 2016 album, Down in Heaven. So just to kick things off, you told me to listen to this album a few weeks ago,
Yeah, I
and
believe I
I
mentioned
did.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I ended up listening to it the day after we recorded, and to be completely honest, my first listen through, I did not really enjoy it whatsoever. But then as I re-listened to it the past couple of days to take my notes, I did a complete 180 on it. And
Oh,
I was
okay.
very happy about that. I think it was because I was kind of just listening super passively the first time I listened to it, just because I don't even remember what I was doing, but I was doing something. I might have been cleaning and I wasn't paying much attention. But then as I listened to it and I listened to the lyrics a lot more, obviously to get for notes and whatnot to prepare for the show. I was able to draw a lot of comparisons to different bands. You could tell that they were kind of trying to emulate almost during some of their songs, and really some really well written songs. And I really enjoyed the fact that they changed who would sing the songs throughout the album. Kind of kept you
Oh
on your
yeah,
toes.
they
Which
have
members of
like
the band?
three
Yeah.
or four different like singers in the band because it consists of like Katie and James, who's one of the main guitarists, and then you got Clay Franco, who's probably my favorite guy out of the
Mm-hmm.
band because he's just fucking hilarious. And then yeah, Jack Doan, who's on the bass. No, he has like Jack's like one of those. He has one or two hits on an album. Like he'll do like one or two songs, and the rest is usually Katie and Clay. And then there's the pianist and like third guitarist, Colin Kroom, who I've met before, actually before a show. I had a cigarette with him before a show. He was a pretty cool dude.
What kind of did you supply the cigarette or did he?
We were just like both smoking around, and we just walked past each other. He was walking out of the arena or the Riviera. That's where we saw him at. He was walking out, and I was walking in. I was like, "Oh, hey, what up, Colin?" And we just kind of dabbed up. He was pretty cool, dude.
Just trying to see if what kind of read on what kind of cigarettes this guy's smoking. That's all.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he smoked a Camel, actually. But that's what it looked like. But then moving forward, then the drummer Connor Brodner, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, and all these guys, like, are all from Chicago. I believe like West Side. I believe like it's in the city, like West Side of the city. But yeah, like all grew up in Chicago, and again, like all cool ass dudes. So yeah, like they pretty much everyone besides Connor pretty much like writes music for the band, and this was Colin Kroom's first like official album being with the band. He was like partly on the album before this, Wild Onion, and he like did some work, and then he just straight up joined like right after that, which I'm so happy about because he just brings so much more to the band, especially like supplying the keys. But yeah, this is the third album by Twin Peaks. It was recorded during the summer of 2015, and they actually went to a lake house in Massachusetts. And they just did the recording process pretty much all on their own with the help of a couple of friends they knew. And they liked doing it. And then that's how they recorded the album after this, too. They just like to get away and record their albums because like doing it in a studio, they feel like they're very rushed. There's like so much time constraint. It's just like very stressful for them. Where doing it this way, getting out, like they make a vacation out of it. And just it's very relaxing for them, which I think is kind of interesting. And I guess what I like about them. But I don't know if you like listen to any other stuff by them. Wild Onion before that or before this was a bit of like a hard hitting album. I feel like you'd like that album too. Like it was like kind of hard hitting. It was like more rock orientated than like Down in Heaven. They kind of slowed it down, took it easy a bit. And then same with their last album, Look Out Low. They like really slowed it down, in my opinion. Just kind of been taking it easy with their music, which I like and don't like. I don't know. It has its flaws, but I mean, I still like them though.
If anything, it's good to see that they're at least trying to change things up and
they're progressing as a band too, which I really like. They really progress. And I still like their new music. Their new music, very good in my opinion, despite what I've heard some people say. But I think it's still very good.
Yeah, and like Twin Peaks too. Like obviously, being from Chicago, it's a name that we've heard for a while, even before they kind of started releasing albums. I feel like you would hear about people our age going to their shows, to be honest. Like like back in the day. Like,
I didn't get into them until like senior year, really, of high school. Like about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, when I like first heard of them. And then I saw their show like back in December of 2017. I was like, holy shit, that was like one of the greatest shows ever. And they're a great live band too. Like if you get a chance to see them, I highly recommend seeing them, especially like in Chicago, because when they play in Chicago, they just have like all their friends who are musicians come on, and like they'll have a horn section and stuff. Like, they'll get really into it at their shows, which is really nice. And another thing I like about this band too, they're a major garage rock band. Like they really give out that vibe to me, and again, that's just like something I feel like you really see in Chicago, I guess. Like. And especially like I'm like one who's always on like the music scene in Chicago and like even in the South Side, where like I just like I'm always going to like bars and stuff, checking people out, where it's just like, yeah, like these guys are just pretty much they were literally just in their garage before this practicing. They just came straight to the bar just trying to get it down, which I like they just give off that whole vibe, which I love. Like I love that type of genre of music where if I'm just sitting in a garage watching you practice, that's what it sounds like when I'm listening to you. It's like I love that.
I did get that vibe from this album, and I enjoyed that a lot, because it almost like obviously it wasn't, but it gave off the vibe at times that it was almost just God, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess on the fly is the phrase I'm gonna go with, like some of the riffs and what they were
Yeah.
playing, just like, and obviously they're not doing that on an
That's their
album.
whole model. They do everything on the fly too. Like that's like kind of how they approach things. They don't like really have like yeah, they have things written out and like what they want to do, but most of the stuff they do is just kind of on the fly. They just like to go with the flow. That's usually like what their motto is.
What song you want to kick off with the album here, Joe?
Uh we'll start off with I think this is probably the most popular song, Wanted You.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I love this song because like this is like you walk to the one you love is what starts off the album. Like I haven't really been on that like lately. It's just like the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, like not as into it as I used to be. But Wanted You is like that was like one of the first songs I really loved by them. And it was just such like and it's like written by Clay, who I usually tend to like Clay songs more out of the other bandmates.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like yeah, the most popular song, and like the music video for this song too is on YouTube. It's fucking awesome. They're just like kind of driving around Chicago. You get a lot of like good Chicago scenes, and there's like just a couple like videos from their concerts, and then like them drinking at bars, which is pretty funny. Then yeah, I just the lyrics, it's just like a nice little like breakup song, I guess.
When I was listening to this song, Joe, reading through with the lyrics, I knew that this was gonna be a song that you would like, and there was like two specific lines that I've kind of really stuck out to me that why I thought you. It was, "Oh my sister, dead men are singing on the radio. Oh my sister, it's all they ever seem to play anymore." And I just like thinking back to all the 20th century music you like to listen to, your the drive radio. I mean, it's just like that stuck out to me for some reason. I don't know why, but I knew that this would be. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this song a lot. I
Yeah.
thought this was by far one of my favorites on the album.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like it's just like yeah, and like the theme of this album too is just kind of like breakup, kind of like
Mhm.
progressing into like a new stage of life almost, I would say. And yeah, like, this is like one of my favorite songs by them. And like Clay describes the song as just kind of like it's about how you do stuff you love, but also at the same time it just kind of depresses you, which is
Mhm.
like also like another vibe off the song. And like one of my favorite like lyrics, it's just like the chorus, like I wanted you. There's that little pause, and it's like you didn't want me. And like,
Mhm.
good Lord, heaven knows I've been banged up. That line always hits me. I was like, yeah, damn, that's just Clay. Clay knows how to hit it hard. And then all the other songs are kind of like songs after that kind of just get into it. Or like My Boys, I really like. That's just like a classic road trip song.
That was my notes on there, on that one. It was I enjoyed that song a lot. It kind of just the song itself reminded me of those nights where the ride home is more fun than whatever it was you did that night. I mean, does that make sense? Or the ride home from wherever you took a long weekend, you're just kind of
Yeah,
talking about the weekend, what went down, and those rides
yeah,
are
no,
like
yeah.
those rides are some of the. I mean, I've made some great memories on rides like that where it's just like reminiscing, talking about old stories, and it makes the trip to ride home as much as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, no, like I like hate like I love morning afters, whether it's just like driving home or just like
Mhm.
I'm at someone's house, just sitting down. Like
Mhm.
some of the best conversations come from like morning afters and like those types of rides home. Like it's like I remember like one time being up in Milwaukee or something over the summer, and like literally like me and like one of my best friends were just sitting down, just sharing just the most outrageous, like funniest stories that like we've had over the past, just like with a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
like with just like a bunch of like our other friends, and they're just like looking at us like how the fuck do you guys have all these stories? Like what the you know? It's just that's like yeah, that's something that what My Boys reminds me of, and like where that song also comes from, like they tour Twin Peaks tours a lot.
Mhm.
So like they're always on the road and shit. And like that's kind of where the inspiration for that song comes from. And then like right after that, you get into Butterfly, which is another popular song off of the album,
Mm.
which was written by Clay. And he said he wrote this like when he was sick or something, when he was in Texas for a show, and like he was just pretty much just right. It's like the song's pretty much about like trying to fuck a girl and like while like trying to make it out of his illness and something along the lines of that, which I thought was pretty funny. And that's like the thing with Clay too. He just like comes up with most like random lyrics, I feel like, to fill in for his songs.
No, there was for sure listening to this one. Just a few times where you're like scratching your head at what he says, but then he ties it back together 2 lines later. Like, oh fuck, all right, that makes sense. It's an interesting way of writing music, and I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I think then like the next song I'll get into is Heavenly Showers. This is probably my favorite Twin Peaks song. One, because I love to play this on guitar. It's just such like a great chill acoustic song. Then it is my go-to hangover song. Like every time I wake up on a Saturday or Sunday, just hurting bad, usually I put this on first, and I'm just sitting there like, it just gives the vibes. Like waking up in the morning with a cold sweat, Death's telling me to follow his cue. It's just like it gives off the hangover vibes for me.
So with this song, I had to do a double take at one. Not a double take, but I was listening to it and I was just in my head, the way the guitar progression was going and the little bit of background music they had going. It sounds like Cat Stevens if you want to sing out. That's the vibe I got from this song, which is another just very soothing, simple song, and it works. I mean, it works really, really well. And I mean, it's just there's the couple lines that I really liked was I woke up in my bed, saw the books and the records and the booze, and I shook the thoughts of love from my head, and in the shower started singing a tune. I mean, it's
like one of my favorite lyrics. It just hits hard, and again, like just it gives the hangover vibes where like I wake up in my bed. That's exactly where the visuals I get. I'm just like, holy shit, just reflecting on the night before and just seeing like my surroundings is like, wow, like it really paints a picture in a song.
Like this song just kind of reminds me of, you wake up and everything that you didn't remember from the night before slowly starts to come back to you, and you're like, ah, shit, I made it home. Good. I mean, it's good. It's never a bad thing to make it back.
Yeah. And I have some regrets on something like Clay singing in the song and shit, like once or twice, but yeah, it's like definitely like my top three, like one of my top three Twin Peaks songs.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Keep It Together, I believe, is right after that one. And this is actually Colin's first song he's written for the band. And I want to say the song's about a prostitute, but I don't think so. It's just like the lyrics kind of give off that vibe to me.
I mean, the way it starts, I could definitely see that interpretation, because this is the one, if I remember correctly, where it's like you're ducking in the alley and you're counting your money in the headlights, like that one, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely get that vibe from this song. Here, hold on, I'm looking it up now. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and I really
she's got that something that'll put you at ease, and you could end up like a dog in the street. I could definitely see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and like knowing Count, I don't know if he's actually singing about someone he knows or not. Just like, but like I love this song. It's one of my buddy's favorite songs too. He really likes this song, and yeah, like this is definitely probably like number 4 on the like most popular on the album. And then like after that, it's kind of more like chill, almost hard hitting songs. And like the album ends on like Have You Ever, and that's just like kind of just like you're just kind of like ending on a bang there. But like around, like I really like this album because this is what got me into the band and really like made me love them. I would say probably my favorite album by the band. And like before that, they had Wild Onion on their first album, Sunken, which are great. They're like hard hitting. They have that garage rock sound. And after Down in Heaven, they released Look Out Low, which like again they did the same thing on that album. Like they went somewhere and like recorded it. And again, like I said, a lot of people I talked to weren't I don't want to say they hated it, but like they like they didn't love it as much as I did, I guess I would say. But I think Look Out Low is like another great album. And again, they really slowed it
Mhm.
down on that album. But like anything I could say about this band is there's like a very they're a very chill group of guys. And if you're trying to get into the music scene in Chicago, this is like this is one of the bands you would have to check out.
No, absolutely. It's cool to see a younger group of guys like this kind of just continuing to grow and grow, and especially being from our area, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always gonna root for the Chicago type bands. Like other bands like these guys in Chicago I would include Post Animal. And they're actually good friends with Twin Peaks as well. And like they actually kind of have like I don't want to say a band, but they also like do some projects together. And like you can look them up on Spotify. I believe it's called like Column. And
Okay.
like yeah, and like they have like one or two songs out for that. Then like Colin Kroom has his like he's doing his own project where he just released two songs. I believe it's called Honey Slides is what his project's called, and he's about to release an
Mm.
album for that. And it's like not even like it's just like all instrumental songs, like from when I'm getting the
Oh,
vibe
really?
off. Yeah, like it's actually very, very chill. And then like Clay's in a song in a band called Grape Tooth, and I'm actually like have not checked that out. I haven't checked out that band personally, but I have heard it's good. And then like yeah, they're just doing so much for and especially for the music scene in Chicago. They're just all over the place, which I love. Like they really put themselves out there in the Chicago area.
No, that's cool. And especially this is a band now that once live music returns to the city and across the country that I want to get out and see, especially just because everything I've read online and what I've heard from you is that they put on a damn good show. And live music, man, it's only a matter of time. We're getting closer and
Yeah.
closer, and I can't wait.
Yeah. And what's cool about them, you'll see him at a show and then like you'll most likely see him at the bar afterward, like at a random
Yeah.
bar afterwards in the city, like which is so funny. And like I saw him at U of I like almost 3 years
I saw them at
ago.
what, the Canopy Club, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Canopy Club. And like they
It's a
play and
cool,
like
it's a cool little venue.
yeah, and like Post Animal opened up for them and another band, I believe XOKs that are actually also from
Oh,
Chicago.
those are Southsiders as well, I believe.
Yeah, like one of the kids went to Marist or something, or two of them went to
Mhm.
Marist, I believe. Yeah, like Southside bands, Chicago band, and that was a great night too. I was up to like 7 a.m. that night and drove home the next day. Sorry, not sorry. Uh, but yeah, no, I really recommend seeing them live when you get the chance. Like no matter where it's at, too, because they just put on a great show, and like they're just an awesome group of guys, and they get fucking wasted at their shows too, which is pretty funny to see.
You don't, yeah, I feel like you don't see that as often as you used to. So that's a cool little blast from
Yeah.
the
They're
past.
just like, yeah, and they just go all over the place too. Like look up pictures or like look up live videos
Mhm.
from their shows too. You'll be like, holy shit, like this is fucking awesome.
That's definitely on the agenda. So as we pivot towards the end of the show, have you've been listening to anything different at all this past week, Joe, that's kind of been sticking out to you?
Anything different? No, I just been literally listening to a lot of Twin Peaks. I just been like prepping for the show, listening to them. I've been back in on the Grateful Dead stuff. So I've been watching this one documentary they have on Amazon Prime called Long Strange Trip. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a 6-part documentary. I've seen this is like my third time rewatching it. I just
Okay.
been bored. And it's a great documentary. I highly recommend it. If you really want to like learn what the
Learn
Grateful
about the
Dead
dead.
is. Yeah, it's a great documentary to watch. And then really like nothing else. Just been like between those two bands and plus a little bit of Rolling Stones kick as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally I've been getting into this band, the Revivalists. Not sure if you've ever listened to them.
I've heard of them. I believe they've also been on XRT once or twice.
Yeah, they're I listened to their 2018 album Take Good Care the other day, and there's just it's a album full of some like really really good vibes is what I would say. It's just like they some great musicians in the band. They have some horns on some songs. They have guitar. They have everything, and they
Mm-hmm.
they've actually reading through their Spotify page the other day. I saw that they've like collaborated with Sturgill Simpson for some songwriting,
Okay.
which was a weird crossover, but it was like, huh. I like listening to it. I'm like, well, I can kind of see where they're if they are getting inspiration from Sturgill and just taking what they learned from him, what he's learned from them. Pretty interesting. I've been listening to them a lot, and then I been on a little bit of a Freddie King kick as well. I'm not sure if you ever listened to him.
Freddie
He
King. Oh yeah,
yeah, and
heard
I
of
mean,
him.
I discovered him in the whitest way possible. A couple summers ago, I was when I was working a painting job downtown Chicago for local 399 as a contractor. I would listen to I was at the point in the summer where I was sick of listening to music all day every day, so I started listening to just going through old Joe Rogan episodes, looking and clicking on guests on who I would want to listen to. I clicked on the Chris Stapleton episode. So on the Chris Stapleton episode of Joe Rogan, I discovered Freddie King, where Chris Stapleton cited Freddie King as his biggest inspiration for playing the guitar. And he's blues guitarist from the 60s and 70s. And listening to his music, you can absolutely hear the guitar riffs that Chris Stapleton has adopted from Freddie King. And it's pretty cool just catching that with your ear, not really paying attention. You're like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Freddie King definitely one of the more underrated guitarists, I would say. I mean, while we're on the topic of guitarists, real quick, do you have a favorite guitarist of all time?
Yeah. I mean, I can give you like my top 5 favorites. Like, I used to be very, very big on Zeppelin back in
Mm-hmm.
high school, and I kind of been off it, but I mean, I still love him. Like Jimmy Page is up there.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Page is fucking phenomenal. Like like almost any solo he has, like from Heartbreaker, even like I love Kashmir, like the track he puts down on that. I mean, Stairway's up there for one of the best solos of all
Yeah.
time. An underrated solo by him is "In the Light" off of his Physical Graffiti album.
Okay.
It's a deep track because like not many people I know not many people have like heard of that song or like really dug
Mm-hmm.
into that album. But I remember the first time I've heard that, I was like, holy shit, that was just absolutely incredible. Then like Jimi Hendrix is up there. Keith Richards is clearly up there. Jerry Garcia, I will consider one of the greatest, like top 5 guitarists of all time, because the shit Jerry Garcia does just amazes me every day. And like I play guitar, and like I've been like the reason why I'm like always in such a dead kick is like I'm always learning how to play the dead, because they're just like I think they just use like great examples of music theory and just like really figuring out like where to take a song. And like when I'm like just trying to like get down, like trying to be a lead guitarist, and the way Jerry does it like inspires me. And I'm like, okay, like I see where he's going to take
Mm-hmm.
this song. How can I emulate it for like when I'm playing fucking like Friend of the Devil or Deal or something, like one of those, like just one of those easy songs where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like he knows exactly where he's going. Like I always love Jerry for that. And then Eric Clapton too.
I mean, yeah,
That's
you
my
got. I
other.
mean, any
Eric Clapton is
guitarist.
very underrated. And like I remember like one of my buddies' dad told me that, and like when he first told me that, like I was shocked. It's like I don't think I've ever considered him underrated. And then like once I got into his discography, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's very underrated.
Yeah, it's just like people like he's good, but you just don't even
Oh
think
yeah, like
about him. Yeah.
one of Eric Clapton's albums I'm probably gonna do soon is Slow Hand. Like
Mm-hmm.
fucking just like incredible album. I love that. Then like 461 Boulevard, I believe is what it is. Ocean Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got those numbers right. That's also a very good album. Then like even like go on Spotify, just look at like his essentials playlist or
Mm-hmm.
this is Eric Clapton. Like almost every song on there is just a fucking banger. And like Slow Hand, like I was reading his autobiography, which great book. I recommend
Mm-hmm.
reading it when you have the chance, because he's just so brutally honest, and he's lived a pretty fucked up life, to be
Yeah.
if you didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even from the start, it was rough for him. But the reason Slow Hand, that was his nickname, which I never knew, but until I read the book. But Slow Hand was actually that came from whenever he broke his string during a show or something, the
Mhm.
crowd would slow hand clap until he
Okay.
fixed his string, and that's how he got the nickname Eric Slow Hand Clapton,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. Never knew that. Yeah, I think those are like my guitarists.
Yeah, and I'm obviously more into 80s rock than you are. I think you're more 60s and 70s. I'm
Yeah,
more
I kind of
80s.
skip over the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I grew up listening to. My dad's a big hair band guy. So but two bands that were always playing in my house growing up, and now that I've grown to appreciate just how good they are as I get older, is Van Halen and AC/DC. I don't think that
Mhm.
Angus Young is by any stretch of the imagination the most talented guitar player ever, but goddamn is he a performer. And then on the
Oh, he's
complete op
Angus Young is
on
good.
and then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Eddie Van Halen, who, in my opinion, is the greatest guitar player of all time. That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I just think
Oh no,
what he's able to do with the guitar,
yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't sound human at some points.
Oh,
And
dude,
how
fucking
and
like
how
Eruption,
often
like it's
Eruption, especially. I mean, do you know the story behind Eruption? So,
no.
basically, they were I forgot what album they were in the studio recording at the time, but he was just warming up for the day. And I think that's on their original. That might be on their original Van Halen, like their self-titled album. But he was just warming up, and he was warming up in the studio by himself, playing Eruption. And the producer for the album walked in from down the hall and heard him doing that. And was like, "Hey man, like what the hell was that?" And he's like, "I was just warming up." He's like, "That's not a warm up. That's going on the fucking record. That's the most
That's
impressive
going
thing
on a
I've
record,
ever
yeah.
heard." Yeah.
Oh, dude,
And
you'll be surprised like how many songs in rock and roll history have like just come from the warm up. Like the Eagles, there's like countless time where like Joe Walsh is sitting down, he's just doing a quick little warm up, and there's like, oh, we're putting that onto a song. Like it's happened to like a lot. Like that's like the stories I love too, where they're
mhm.
again, it's just all fucking around, just doing whatever, and then there's like, oh, that actually sounds pretty good. Let's make something out of that. And
Yeah, and
Eddie Van Halen too is great. I'm not, and again, like I said, I'm not big in the 80s. I always skip over it. And it's just like, and it's good music. I just never been able to fully get into it.
no, yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, and I don't want to, and like, I never want to brush over it because it is good music. I just never got into it. AC/DC, like, that's another band where like, I loved them growing up when I was a little kid. They were just
Yeah.
like, oh, hell yeah, Highway to Hell, like Thunderstruck, like all that
Mhm.
great songs. And as I got older, I just grew out of it.
I got more into I was the same way, and once we got a new vinyl player or a new record player at our house, I like started going through all my dad's old albums. And as I started to listen to the AC/DC albums again, I'm like, damn, so these guys they're more than just Thunderstruck. They're more than You Shook Me All Night Long. They're more than Back in Black. And you listen to their
Mhm.
stuff, and it's pretty, like, it's awesome, especially what they're able to do, as facing the death of their lead singer at one point, bringing in Brian Johnson, and then just completely going to the moon. I don't know if you've ever seen the video of them performing in Argentina in like 2008 or something like that. It's in front of like a million people, and it's like they're all old bags. Angus Young is still running all over the stage like a madman at 60 something years old in his
Mhm.
schoolboy attire. Brian Johnson barely able to sing. Whole place is going crazy, but it's awesome. But one quick thing with Eddie Van Halen before we wrap up. I mean, how often does a guitar player get the band named after him instead of the lead singer? That's
Yeah.
in my opinion the best argument I have for Eddie Van
Yeah.
Halen.
And I've always
But
loved like the Eddie Van Halen art too. Like
mhm,
that's like very iconic. I just saw like a picture the other day on Twitter, like Eddie Van Halen with like his guitar, and he had a fucking pickup truck, which
yeah,
just like painted as like the art was on his guitar. And I just thought like that's actually pretty badass. Just have like an art style kind of
mhm,
like named after you, or like, I think that's badass too.
yeah. So you know what? We're gonna wrap up this episode. We broke down again Firewater by Whiskey Myers and Down in Heaven by Twin Peaks. It was a pretty fun episode, I think. And I think next week, Joe, we're going to dive into some 80s music on my end to just
I
dip our
don't hate it.
toes.
I might have an 80s album that in my sleeve too, depending on what I see.
You know what? Well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see again. Thank you
Yeah,
for
I
listening.
might
If you made
surprise you.
it, there we go. If you made it this far, thank you. We really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe to us. Let us know in the YouTube comments. Let us know on Twitter what albums you want to hear us break down, and we'll see you next week.